Hello, my name is Erica Austin, and I am in your online PE class 7202. And this is my very first video report, and we are doing it on the spectrum theory created by Muska. I hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Muska. My pastor often says, don't go on stage to preach or speak not having looked up the pronunciation of words. So I did not look up how to pronounce his name, but he, to me, seemed to be a very passionate, almost obsessive individual. And so, in a good way, very obsessive in a good way. And so what I can gather to answer all the questions on our video report outline, what I can gather from just thus far talking and reading on the history of PE and just kind of how it grew into what it is now, and how it went from being very like gymnast type physical education to becoming more sports centered and being very sports centered and being very traditionally taught, like with a laid out curriculum around maybe sports and the skill of that sport. And seemingly prior to even this theory, seemingly was just taught very teacher centered and just structured oftentimes around activity and structured around sports. And Muska seemed to be an advocate for more inclusive and diverse learning. I'm learning about reflective teaching in one of my classes. He, I'm sure, was a very reflective teacher. He was able to differentiate instruction. And so it was very interesting to learn the impact that his theory has had on PE and on teaching as a whole. He started his career, so to talk about the author and creator of this theory a little bit, he was, interestingly enough, born in 1945 in Israel. And I just think that is very neat. He eventually moves to the U.S. and teaches PE along with many other subjects, ending up at the Rutgers University in the PE department. And he had such a major influence on the PE department that department's name even was changed to the Department of Kinesiology and Human Movement. And that just kind of communicates his impact and his knowledge on everything body movement and PE. And that is what he was seemingly very passionate about. It said that he fell in love with PE, the opportunities that it offered, such as socially, cognitively, physically, and all of the above. And he became, as I said earlier, very passionate, very almost to the point of being obsessive about it, because even when people weren't supporting him, he was not giving up on what he believed about the theory that he was creating. And it was when I love this part, it was when he saw children being denied the opportunity, he was outraged and upset that his colleagues weren't expanding their view on what PE should be. And so I'm already 4 minutes in and only am talking about the creator, so I hope that in the next few minutes I'm able to explain the theory. And so the purpose and rationale behind the model's creation is, well, the spectrum, what it does, it identifies the underlying structure of the teaching/learning process, which is decision making. And I feel very ignorant to this whole concept, but it's so intriguing and so interesting to me that I'm like looking for ways that I can maybe implement this in my own PE classroom. And so we see that Muska was a person that was of great energy, charisma, and drama. So for him to discover this theoretical structure would only make sense. And so his concepts expanded the base of professional knowledge and broke past even personal boundaries. And so, again, he was a fighter. He fought to really expand and advance PE. So to move on to the spectrum, as I said, from what I gather, it's structured on an axiom. And I'm looking at my computer to trigger whole thoughts so that I can talk about what I believe to understand about it. And so at the top of it, we see that teaching is a chain of decision making. And so it is believed that the decision making is what's shaping learning experiences. And we see that with his studies done that this is no longer debated. This is proven. There's been analysis done, research done. This is proven to be fact now, and it shapes teaching, and has done so in all grade levels across all subjects. And so we first see on the axiom, like I said, the chain of decision making, the teaching, that teaching is a chain of the decision making. The next thing on the axiom is going to be the pre-impact, impact, post-impact part of the axiom. And that's where the decisions are made and how they're made prior, during, and even after, like in the assessment and things such as that. And then we move on down to like the letters that go A through K. And I just think it's so interesting to look at these letters and how just how they are either being made by the teacher more or being made by the student more, and just even what they represent. As I said, they are A through K. You see it's like the command style, practice style, self-check, learner initiated, and it goes all the way through K. And then the axiom moves on down to the development channels. So through the landmark styles, we then come to the development channels, which is the physical, cognitive, social, emotional. It even has sexuality on there, mindfulness, technology, and financial. And it's just so interesting to see how this theory impacts teaching and the components of teaching, and how, even though it's not considered a model, how it can be used in the models that are used in teaching. And so even within that, I feel that this theory is equipping teachers. It equips us with the knowledge to better educate the students, to better embrace them, to differentiate instruction, to be able to be a reflective teacher, to be able to connect with them in a way that it impacts their future by helping them make better decisions and impact them not only physically but in many other ways. And I love that it's referred to as the anatomy of teaching, because it can be used in all teaching events. And so to move on to the next question, it says review about the research. And so it said in our book that we were able to download that there had been 17 database research studies published in PE journals specific to the theory of the spectrum of teaching styles, and approximately 20 different researchers have contributed to this data-based research, basically meaning that it is no longer a theory, and they continue to study it. They're still meeting to this day. I think they're having a meeting in 2024 from what I saw on the website, but I think that this theory is the catalyst, or has been the catalyst, to change traditional teaching and for it to be more student-centered and help them configure the decisions that they make, be able to think deeper on why they make the decisions they make, and hopefully to trigger better character traits, better attributes, more care for learning, more care for their physical abilities. It's basically showing us the way to teach in very diverse situations and help them develop cognitively, socially, physically, all of the above. And I feel that there's so much more that I could share about this theory that I'm just drawing a blank on at the moment, trying to explain it off the top of my head. But Muska, his heart behind it, and I must read it from the book. One, the most significant things, says the spectrum provides teachers with the fundamental theoretical knowledge necessary for building a learning environment that offers learners a full range of educational opportunities. That means for everyone, the athlete to maybe the person who lives in poverty and doesn't have access to things that others may have access to. But here's what I feel the heart behind the entire spectrum is, and it shows who Muska is and his impact that he's had. It identifies the underlying structure of the teaching and learning process, which is decision making. It is, again, it just mirrored Muska's personality. His concepts expand the base of professional knowledge and frequently expand the personal boundaries of those who learn the non-versus paradigm. Both concepts invite deliberation, although this emphasis on deliberate conscious teaching sometimes resulted in unfounded attacks. It was repeatedly observed by Muska and the author in the book that more teachers demonstrate with fidelity the knowledge of the spectrum, the more capable and spontaneous they become in designing beneficial learning experiences. And that's what Muska did. He fought to advance the theory and practices of physical education. He was often excluded, but that didn't stop him. The spectrum of teaching styles has been implemented in all grade levels, in all subject matters. The fact that decision making is the underlying element that shapes teaching and learning events is no longer debated. That's impressive of this teaching style, and I'm just glad that we were able to download this book and just to have it at our disposal as teachers. Muska was able to observe children and identify their strengths and their weaknesses, and he then created the spectrum of the developmental opportunities to help them discover themselves and rejoice in the process of learning. And that's what the spectrum theory is created around, and I only hope to be able to pull out the best in students as Muska was able to.